Welcome back to the TOWKA Talks podcast. Today I am joined by Maximo Mendoza Sr. Wow, man, what a name. What a name. Maximo and I have known each other for quite a few years now in different areas of life. I'll let him introduce himself. But Maximo, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining the podcast and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. After the name, that's about as cool as I get. From there, it's almost downhill. But yeah, I am a proud father of three, and also a footwear tech rep for Puma Running North America. If you're ever looking to geek out about running or running shoes, I am your guy. I can talk running and running shoes all day long. Very blessed to have a job that allows me to do that. I'm sure we'll dive into the background, but prior to that, about a decade in run specialty. Being in the running stores, also a huge part of my life. And so maybe we talk about more of that or whatnot. We can dive into that and anything you like to. But thanks for having me here, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with your background in running specialty, even before that, did you basically grow up running and competing in cross country and track? Is that kind of how it all started, ignited the fire in you with what you do today?
So growing up, and still a big basketball fan. And so when I was little, my first sport, that I loved was basketball. And so played, little, I guess, little league basketball, and it just kind of seemed like when I got to about maybe around sixth, seventh grade, it just seemed like everyone was a foot taller than me by then, and then basketball wasn't quite as fun playing because I wanted to score the points, and getting my shot off and getting to the hole and finishing was not as easy as it was when I was really little. That was my first sport love, and then with PE back in those days. I'm not sure if they still do this, but there was one day out of the week where you just ran. It was like, all right, how many loops can you get? And so I was always kind of up at the front, and I was just like, okay, maybe I'm okay at this running thing. And so I tried out for our track team, and I think fifth grade, which is basically you try out for an event, and if you make it, then you go to one meet. And so I did the 800. That was as far as you could go at that time. I think in fifth grade it was, and so won the qualifying meet at my school, and then I won the meet against the other elementaries, and I was just like, all right, well, this is pretty cool. I like this whole winning thing, and so that's what really kind of set it all in motion to dive into the sport a little bit more, and kind of was just kind of in it in junior high, and then in high school, probably around my sophomore year in high school is when I really was like, all right, let's get serious about this. Let's train hard, and then yeah, from there, high school and college and training hard post collegiately, and around 2017 is when I kind of started to dial it down from what I would call hard training. I did Boston that year, and that was one of the most painful races of my life. Still scarred to this day. And I still love to run, but from there, kind of started to get out of what I would say hardcore training and whatnot. So I still love to run, but yeah, in a nutshell, my running life. That's it in a quick nutshell.
What would you say was like your greatest or one of the best memories of your career? Like what stood out from the rest to you?
Um, so in track in college, I was a grinder. I was never like I never felt like I was the most talented guy. But one advantage I felt like I had was I was consistent, and for most of my collegiate career I didn't go through any major injuries, which was great. So I got to just kind of progress and get a little bit better and better. And so for me, probably top races that I had, that I can go back and when you're running and you kind of relive in the glory days and like put yourself back in those races where it all kind of clicked. When I ran uh, for 5,000, I ran 14:42, and for me, and like not being an insanely fast high schooler and all that, I was just through the roof with it. And I just got really lucky in being in a good field of guys that were all in that kind of time frame. And there was one guy up front. He was actually a former NCAA champion who was just unattached in the race. Shadrach Zongong. He just strung all of us out and just dragged us out to a really fast time. So that was one of my most favorite memories and most painful. I remember coming through the mile somewhere around 440, and a teammate on the infield who was calling out splits yelled at me and said, "If it feels fast, it's because it is. That's all right. Settle in." And so I can just vividly remember moments in that race, and so that was one that sticks out the most. And there were some ones, won some small meets, and I was in a smaller college conference, and I won some conference titles that were a lot of fun, and that race is one of the ones that just kind of sticks out the most. So definitely crossed the line, and I was just like, what was the time? What was the time? And I heard it, and even though I was just so exhausted and out of breath, I was just so pumped. So that would be one of my top memories race wise from the college days.
So when you graduated college, did you have an idea what you wanted to do job wise, or kind of talk about how you got into running specialty for
Yeah.
people who aren't familiar with the kind of career path of college? Because obviously it translates into what you do now, but just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I really wanted to keep kind of pushing and see how far I could take the whole running thing. And so um, when I was in college, I pretty much kind of knew I was gonna work initially for my father. He had a all-state agency, and so I was like, he was like, look, you can come work for me. Get your training in, and then come in and write home and auto policies. Crunch numbers and trying to get some additional policies on the books. And so initially that's what I did post collegiately, graduated, and then worked for my father and technically worked for Allstate. And so yeah, uh, it was cool at first, and not too long into it, I would end up managing the office, and writing policies is easy enough. Plugging in numbers, tweaking coverages that's the easy part. But putting out the fires of when people are pissed off about their policies, that can get really old really fast. And so the job itself in that industry really wasn't me, wasn't my personality. And so then when I had on top of that people that were angry for whatever reason, what comes with insurance, simple premium adjustment increases, that are completely out of our control, little stuff like that really kind of add up. And so, after a year of that, I just kind of knew like this is not where I need to be. I don't want to dread going to work every day. And so I went and applied for a sales associate position at Luke's Locker. And so during their days in Houston, their central Houston location, was a sales associate there for a couple years, and I really enjoyed it. I was in my element. I got to talk footwear, I got to talk running, and so that's where it started off for me. And I was given a few additional responsibilities, overseeing the Luke's Locker racing team, and also performing their form clinic. That was after store hours, and so I think it was recognized that I was passionate. I loved what I was doing, and I love providing great customer service. And so I started to get some elevated role or elevated responsibilities there. And then it wasn't really until my transition moving into the Jackrabbit location of stores that I went into the kind of the management role. And so with Jackrabbit, a lot of various different store names. The one that I was initially at was Texas Running Company Sugarland, and so I got to be the assistant manager there, and then also at another location here in Houston as well. It was called Run On. Then ultimately, I would become store manager at an Austin location called Rogue Running. So a lot of different store names, but umbrella name was Jackrabbit for the company. So spent a year in Austin managing that store, and then came back to take over Sugarland store manager position, and was there for I believe a couple years, and then Puma product came into the door, and I fell in love with it, and as soon as the position opened, I went after it and was lucky enough to get it. So that's how I was exposed to Puma initially. The store that I was at was one of the first ones to get the initial wave of nitro product, and so I got to see it, sell it, and saw that even off the first generation, the product was really, really good. And I just felt like, okay, if they can tweak it from here, then maybe it's going to become something really special. And luckily for my job, the product has gotten better and better. And so again, in a nutshell, that's the career path. That's a scrunching about a decade of run specialty prior to my life as a tech rep.
For people who aren't familiar with what tech reps do, like the responsibilities and the roles, obviously I am, with being in it for so long, like the running specialty field as well for so long. Can you kind of go into like what your job is with accounts, with the products themselves, and with like customers? Because obviously it's not an easy job. And then obviously you're always on the go. Obviously, I'm thankful for your time right now that you're spending with me, because obviously you have responsibilities as well as like family stuff. So go in and talk about like what your kind of like day-to-day life is as a tech rep for Puma North America, just so people can understand a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it definitely varies depending on who you're activating with and who the account that you're going to be working with is. And so if it's someone like Bear Creek, I'll drive up from Houston and hang out with the store, and whether that's doing demo runs where I'll have product that the store carries, and I'll have a full size range, and so we'll set up so that customers from the stores or potential customers can really try the product. So it's a nice try before you buy type scenario. So we'll be given demo sets of the products that our stores carry, so that we can activate with them. And typically that is usually a demo run or a social run. We'll bring our demo sets out, and so people can experience the product without having the pressure of buying it right there on the spot. Ideally, we'd like if they would purchase afterwards in the store, but that is one of the cool and major things that we do, is provide that experience for our accounts. And then for the staff that are in those accounts, it's really educating them about the product. So we'll go in and basically get to geek out with the staff of each account to explain the in and outs of the product. Because if you've ever been into a running store, you look and there's so many shoes on the wall, and it's really up to each individual brand's tech rep to come in and educate the staffs on those product. Because you can have the best shoe on the wall, but if the staff doesn't know about it, they're not familiar with it, familiar with technology, there's very little chance that they're going to pull it. And so our job is to help those staffs have that knowledge, to be able to sell the product with confidence, and to hopefully encourage them and give them confidence that the product is legitimate. It is good. It is great product. And so those are kind of the two key points of the tech rep position. And from there, it can go into a lot of different other avenues, whether it's like a major event like what is called the running event, very original name, right? Hosted in Austin, Texas. That is where all the brands will come together, and especially it's essentially kind of like an expo style experience for accounts. So a lot of times store owners and the people that make the decisions of what the stores are going to carry will come to this expo style event to see basically what the future is for each brand. So that brands like Puma will go in and we'll have product that is currently in market, but we'll also have a lot of product that is is to come and what the future is going to hold for our lineup. And so the owners and the buyers get to come in and see, talk with the sales team, talk with the tech reps about it, and get a feel for what they want to bring into their door. So it's a great way for each brand to showcase, what they have and what they have coming. And so I've been a part of that for the last couple of years. We'll be going back in November for round 3 for me for it, and it's an amazing experience. You get to see your teammates, working remotely. You don't get to really see your counterparts all too often, but that's a great opportunity where we get to come together and work together and spread the good word of Puma and product for our account holders. And so a lot of travel. So if you're interested in becoming a tech rep, as long as you don't mind driving and talking product all day long and building those relationships, then it's a great gig. But yeah, you're kind of constantly on the move, not really a set office. And with my territory being the land mass being pretty big, I'll fly out to some of my accounts. I'll be in Boulder next week, spending some time with Fleet Feet Boulder. Puma and now Fleet Feet and Boulder Thon now have a partnership, and so I'll be out there activating, doing tons of demo runs and working the Boulder Thon Expo. So a lot of work, but a lot of fun. So it's not always common for reps to fly around territory wise like that, but with Puma, with us being relatively new into run specialty, we're going into year 3. We're still building those accounts, and so the land masses are still pretty big as we build the account numbers. So eventually my territory, sadly, I'll lose Colorado. That's going to be a sad day. I do enjoy going out there, but eventually I'll probably lose my Colorado doors as we expand and get into more locations.
Which is always a good thing, right? You guys obviously want your products in a lot more doors and on a lot more people's feet. I could just tell, like, and some of the things that stood out to me as you were describing your roles. People ask us as sales associates all the time, do you guys go to school? Because how do you know all this information? How do you know about all the shoes? A lot of it comes with experience, with time of being around it for so long, and you meet people like yourself who are very enthusiastic and educated on certain stuff and technologies, because obviously they evolve just like cars, just like anything else. It does. I mean, we definitely do go to school in a way. Like when you guys come in, yourself, Emily from On, Jake from Brooks, like, and you guys like basically give us the tools and the resources and the information we need to sell the products. We basically are getting educated in a way. We're not going to a college or anything like that, but it's the same idea, because obviously you said it perfectly. If you don't know what you're bringing out to the customer, don't know how to explain it, they're more likely not going to buy it, or you're not going to bring it out first and foremost. So I think that was definitely the right information. And obviously you've been there, done that, so you know exactly what roles we play in the stores themselves. So what kind of, just moving from topic to topic, your influence you've had on running and in running specialty, and obviously as a tech rep, has that translated into your personal life with your kids? Because obviously you play a huge role in your son's running, and I just see it on social media all the time, and it obviously warms my heart because my dad was obviously influenced and a big part of my career. Do you feel like all that, as you've moved on kind of in a way, like played the dad role and the cheerleader for your son and for your kids, like you want to bring them up the kind of the same way like that you grew up?
Yeah, an awesome question. That just a big smile on the face to hear that. And I feel like I am, I'm happy with what I did in the running and like the whole training thing. And so I still like to get after it. Don't get me wrong. Like no matter what shape I'm in, if I do get on a starting line, I'm going for it. So I still am not to the level I've never signed up for a race to do it purely for fun. So you'll never catch me having a casual conversation in a race it's just in my DNA. I got to give it all I got, whether that's 14 minutes or whether that's 18, 19 minutes. I don't care. Whatever, as much as I can give on that day, I'm going to give. But definitely the amount of time that I put in, the work that I put in, is definitely not what it used to be. And so, but I can feel good about that because yeah, I get to see my son now in that high school level, and him competing and really getting after it, and that's been really awesome to see. I had my son when I was young, and people always said, oh, you're gonna push him to run, be a runner like you. And even at a young age, I told people I just want him to do what he wants to do. And so forcing him into running was definitely never anything I wanted to do because as you well know, this is running is not like, and there's no cheerleaders in running, so it's not like being a football superstar or basketball superstar, those that it's a little bit different. And I knew kind of at an early age, like, you really need to enjoy this. Like, if you're not having fun doing this, then it's not worth it. You'll be miserable. And I knew I never wanted to push him to go into running. And he started off kind of like me. He actually played football at a young age, and it scared me to death. But he wanted to do it, and so he played little league football, and then from there went into basketball. I loved that. And so my son is a good bit taller than me, so he stretched out a little bit further with his basketball career. He played up until he played high school freshman basketball, and so after that is when he kind of decided he wanted to focus a little bit more on running and his studies. And I've been behind him 100%. So whether it's no matter what sport it was, running or not running, I've been a big cheerleader in the background, which has been awesome. So yeah, he likes to run and whatnot, but he's honestly, he's probably a bigger brainiac than anything, which I love 100%. And so pushing him to focus on his studies has been a big focus of mine, is to make sure that he knows that, hey, it's okay, like 100% of your time and energy doesn't have to be this whole running thing, and so it's good to see him and focus and do great things in the classroom while still enjoying his time as an athlete. So with me, I was all about running 100%, so I was like, let me not project that onto him. Like, let me at least let him know that you can focus on other things. So yeah, it's fun, and as long as he's enjoying whatever sport he's doing, I'm happy.
I love that. I so much. That's very rare to hear nowadays. And yeah, same. I can obviously relate to that too. My parents didn't push me or even my younger brother to run, even though they had pretty good careers when they started. They were a lot older. They were in their 30s when they were in their prime. So, but yeah, that's amazing. What advice, what inspiration, whether it be Puma, whether it be running, whether it be parental like inspiration, that you want to give to somebody watching this who may not be familiar with any of that, or that are struggling right now, like finding their path, finding their career? Like, what advice would you give to somebody watching this?
Awesome question. I've been in the running stores for a long time. I can say I enjoyed and loved being in the shops. And so there's definitely people in the stores, and that whether they want to advance in the location that they're at, or the company that they're at, or if they want to explore coming into whether it's a tech rep role, or being a part of any brand. I would say just ask questions. It's one of the hardest things to do, but I feel like asking questions, whether it's to your superior or to people that have been in your position, I think that's a great resource for knowledge, and something that I've never truly been great about. Just asking, hey, how can I do that? Like, how does one get to that position? Those things can just really open up doors and shed some light, and something that I wasn't great about doing, and still struggle to this day. Of, hey, I want to do this. Yeah, I should reach out to this person, and I need to do a better job of that myself. And then when it comes to especially the tech rep role, for me personally, being in the stores for so long, I only ever wanted to represent a brand that I believed in and that I could use myself 24/7. Now, if you're wanting to really break into the industry, I would say maybe keep your options open, and explore a little bit more, whether that's different brands or maybe different products. There's different avenues into possibly getting into the other side of the run specialty world with the specific brand, whether it's footwear or nutrition or accessories. I would say keep your options open. Looking back and at tech rep roles that opened, that I didn't even bat an eye. I didn't even try, because I was like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could wear that. And so I was really kind of limiting myself and who I applied for. So I was lucky to get Puma. But looking back, I would have told my younger self to keep my options open, to explore more brands and more avenues. But no, I enjoyed my time in the stores, and now being in this role is great. But I look back at some of my favorite memories is being a sales associate and just cranking out footwear, man. Like, how much can I sell? What can I get out the door, and how many people can I provide a great experience to. It's awesome, when you have someone that leaves the door with a smile and has something positive to say about their experience. It really makes it all worth it. So yeah, for those in the industry that are in run specialty, that might have questions, I'm an open book. So if you reach out to me on social media, I'm happy to answer questions too. So if I know our time is limited here, but yeah, for those that may see it and have questions about the role or whatnot, feel free. Any way I can help, I'm at the ready.
Guys, if you enjoyed this episode with Maximo, please give it a huge thumbs up. If you didn't watch the last podcast episode, please go check that out. The link will be in the description below. I want to thank Maximo for his time, effort, and enthusiasm throughout this episode. I really appreciate it. I will leave his Instagram handle in the description below. Please reach out to him. If you haven't tried a Puma product, this video is not sponsored by Puma, but seriously, like he just said, if I didn't recommend it or bring it out for a customer, if I was in the store working and I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't bring it out. And it is definitely a brand that's continuing to get better and better, and it's more and more innovative than it used to be. So go check them out. If you didn't see anything else video-wise or podcast-wise, please go check out my channel. Follow it, subscribe, tell a friend, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.